Welcome everybody, my name is Fragalanis, and in this series we'll be going over all the censored artwork in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading Card game, explaining why they were altered and how they look in the original releases. In this video, I'll cover all cards which had religious references removed or altered from their original artworks. While the Yu-Gi-Oh! Series draws great inspiration from ancient Egypt's mythology, some cards may contain references to Christianity or religious symbols as a whole. During the 2000s, censorship in the West was very active on media for kids. Pokémon is another notable example. Given that, hundreds of Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards artworks over the years were altered outside of Japan. Let's start talking about some cards. The monster Dark Ruler Hades had two huge reddish horns in its OCG artwork, and its cap was filled either with wine or blood. Since the goal when importing these cards was to avoid references to God and Satan, Hades had its horn removed and replaced with two blue orbs. Also, the liquid in its cap was recolor green, because no alcohol could be featured in cards for kids. While Hades still looked the same, the fact that its horns were replaced by two big blue balls meant that every other card that originally featured this monster in its artwork from this point on had to be tweaked as well. That's why the following cards' international artwork differ from their OCG counterpart. A Deal with the Dark Ruler, Bark of the Dark Ruler, Demotion, Order to Smash, Skill Drain, the Puppet Magic of Dark Ruler, and Trading Places. Dark Ruler Hades has a synchro variant called Revive King Hades, which had its horns replaced by orbs, again to avoid demonic connotations. All the international releases of cards that featured the monster Revive King Hades featured it with the orbs. Destruction Potion, Mind Drain, Reanimation Wave, Reject Reborn, Skill Prisoner, and Soul Drain. Funnily enough, there are just two cards in which the horns of Hades were not removed: Soul Demolition and Mind Trust. Maybe someone just didn't recognize the Demon King. Now we move on to arguably one of the most popular monsters in the game, especially among Discord admins, the Dark Magician Girl. This card artwork was altered in two ways. Her breast was reduced for international releases, but we'll talk more about it in another video. The other thing is a bit difficult to notice at first glance, but the jewel on her chest featuring a hexagram in the original art was replaced by a simple ruby. The hexagram, or six-pointed star, is often associated with practice of the occult and dark magic, and since parents in the 2000s feared the indoctrination of their kids, all pentagrams and hexagram were promptly replaced in most cards for TCG releases. All subsequent artworks of Dark Magician Girl in the West featured the ruby on her chest, as well as the following cards in which the monster appeared: Bond between teacher and student, Magician Navigation, Magician Defense, and Toon Dark Magician Girl. Hexagrams and pentagrams are drawn in quite a number of Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards, so when card artworks are reviewed for international releases, they are either replaced or removed entirely to avoid correlation to religion and the occult. For example, in Ghost Trick Yuki-Onna and in the cards where the titular monster appear, Ghost Trick Knight and Ghost Trick Mansion, the six-pointed snowflake was replaced by a regular one. The card Spellbinding Circle received a completely new artwork in its international version, which was most likely changed because the hexagram looked like a Star of David, an important symbol for Jewish people. The new art was then used in other cards to replace hexagram and pentagrams. We have Magician Circle, Magicians Unite, Owner's Seal, Release Restraint Wave, Spell Reproduction, Curse of the Circle, and, most notably, Exodia the Forbidden One. This last one, when combined with left arm of the Forbidden One, right arm of the Forbidden One, left leg of the Forbidden One, and right leg of the Forbidden One, form a pentagram. and they wanted to avoid satanic connotation to these monsters. Talking about Exodia, 2 cards had to be altered to feature the international artwork of the monster and its species: Big Win and Exchange. To finish off the cards which had hexagrams and pentagrams removed from their TCG artworks, we have Black Ritual Magic, whose symbol was also used to replace the hexagram in the second version of Polymerization, and Magic Jammer. The card Double Spell now features a colorful disc, while in Sage's Stone and Sorcerer's Spell Wall, they replaced the hexagram with some other symbols. The pentagrams present in the card Muko and Amazone's Spellcaster were altered as well into new symbols. In some other instances, the solution to the problem was just to remove the sign. For example, Dark Magician of Chaos had a pentagram inscribed in its head jewel, kind of difficult to notice, but it was simply erased, a change which influenced other artworks where Dark Magician of Chaos appears, like Chaos Scepter Blast and Dedication Through Light and Darkness. Sectarian of Secret had the hexagram removed from its forehead too in its international art. The last 2 cards which had pentagrams removed are Earthchant, it has just a circle in the middle now, and Dark Magician Curtain. Among the symbols censored by the Western localization team, there was one that is really prevalent, maybe because it's deeply tied with religion and divinity: the halo. Absorbing Kid from the Sky had its halo removed to avoid references to the Christian angels. The same goes for Angel of 7, Shining Friendship, and in cards that feature this monster like Beaconing Light, Lightwave Tuning, and Ray of Hope. Then we have Buten, Celestial Lightsworn Angel. This monster also had its halo removed in Vanquishing Light. Then we have Chorus of Sanctuary, Counterforce. This card also changed the crosses on the little angel's eyes with other signs, and for some reason the purple explosion was removed. We also have Treeborn Frog, along with Death Frog and Froggy Force Field. The halo was also removed from the creature that appears in Graceful Charity, Graceful Tear, Enervating Mist, Shared Ride, and Mistaken Unrest. Then we have Guardian Angel Joan, Hysteric Fairy, which curiously still has the Ankh on the book that, as we'll see later, gets removed from artworks quite often, Petite Angel, and cards where Petite Angel appears, like Beaconing Light, Next to be Lost, Ray of Hope, and Sprite's Blessing. Its retrain, Cyber Petite Angel, suffered the same fate, having its halo removed also in the cards Machine Angel Absolute Ritual and Magnificent Machine Angel. Then we have Protective Soul Eileen, Shining Angel, the Flip Monster Scale Angel, which had its halo replaced by a crown, Soul of Purity, and Wingwearer. Lastly, in Solemn Judgment, the 2 girls in the background had their halos removed, again to avoid possible religious references. Before I mentioned that Hysteric Fairy didn't get the Ankh or Egyptian cross removed from her artwork, but there are some cards that were altered for international releases because of it. In some later artworks of Book of Moon, Book of Life, and Book of Tayo, the Ankh was replaced with the hieroglyph of a bird. However, they were a bit confused because there are other Ankhs on these cards left untouched. It makes no sense. Multiple Ankhs were straight removed from the stones in the image of the card Contract with Exodia, while the international art of Exodia Necros had the Ankh on its chest altered to look like a funny tie. Water Magician, which had a red Ankh on its chest, got it completely edited out. A notable example of censorship came with the international release of Monster Reborn. Its artwork was redrawn and the Ankh became a new symbol entirely. And if I have to be honest, I always liked the international version more. It looks more mysterious and fitting for such a powerful card. Now we move on to censorship made for Crucifix and similar. There is a recurring king character in some cards who is shirtless in the OCG version and sports a golden cross-shaped necklace. Obviously, to avoid any controversy, the localization team gave the king a white vest in the artwork of a slip at the switch, the Emperor's Holiday, Tyrant's Tantrum, Tyrant's Temper, Tyrant's Throws, and Tyrant's Tirade. It isn't rare for artworks in Yu-Gi-Oh! To depict cemeteries. Well, the discard pile is literally called graveyard, but most often than not, in the original drawings they feature some cross-shaped gravestones, so the TCG versions have them replaced with rounded gravestones to avoid referencing the Christian religion. That's the case for Call of the Haunted, Call of the Earthbound, Card of Last Will, Damage Gate, Foolish Burial, Ghost of a Grudge, Gravekeeper's Servant, Grave Robber, Infernity Break, Inferno Reckless Summon, the Grave of Enkindling, and Magnet Reverse. In other instances, crosses are used as decorations. In the TCG art of Crimson Knight Vampire Bran, the red crosses were either altered by removing the horizontal line or removed entirely, like the one on its crotch plate. Same goes for Shadow Vampire. Other cards have crosses straight up removed to safely avoid any religious connotations. That's the case for Grand Convergence, the Cheerful Coffin, and Noble Knight Joan, though I think cross is still present in the background. Vampire Vamp had the cross decorations on her garments edited to appear as plus signs. Same goes for the crosses held by number 13 Embodiment of Crime and number 31 Embodiment of Punishment. Scrap Iron Scarecrow, in its international version, was given 2 legs so that it wouldn't be associated with a crucifix. In the original art of the Exile of the Wicked, the monk is holding a Bible and a crucifix, so for the TCG release, those items were replaced with potion vials. The final broad censor category touches all cards which saw the horns removed from monster to avoid referencing demons. I know, it sounds silly for a game like Yu-Gi-Oh! Where there are Fiend-type cards. We already talked about Dark Lurar Hades and cards where the monster is featured, so let's do a quick rundown of all other altered cards. In Backup Soldier, the rightmost creature had its horns removed, while the artwork received a palette change. Dark Baltar the Terrible, unfortunately, was heavily edited. Its horns, wings and tail were all removed for international release to look less demonic. A curious case is the one of Dark Witch. She hadn't her horns removed, but just recolored and rounded. And also her dress was altered, but we'll talk about more of these changes in another video. Dark Lord Marie had the horns removed, and the golden crucifix on her hand was gone as well. In Double Snare, the green creature was given clothes, and the horns were edited out. The imp in the card Fiend's End Mirror was made white, and stripped of its horns and tail, while the glowing eyes on the bottom skull were also removed. The monster Kozaki had its horns edited out. The same goes for the card in which the monster appears. Fruits of Kozaki's Studies, Giant Kozaki, Kozaki's Self-Destruct Button, Iron Core Specimens Lab, Level Conversion Lab, Success Probability 0%, and Woodborg Impachi. Now we move to one of the funniest edits made for international version. The monster Doomsday Horror had its horns replaced with a mohawk. Just perfect. Lesser Fiend received quite an edit. Its skin color was changed, and its wings, tail and horns were removed. Well, they succeeded in making it less intimidating. The creature in life-absorbing machine was given clothes, a new skin color, and had the horns removed and replaced with some hair. Now it just looks like an old man in pain. Gemini imps had their wings and horns edited out, but curiously not the tail. Horns were also removed from Memory Crusher, Soul Absorption, Spirit of Flames, Winged Minion, and Spear Cretin. The latter two received some clothes though. To close off this video, here are some final changes to artworks I haven't mentioned yet. In Toon Table of Contents, the word Demon was changed to Giant, God to Rat, and the number 666 edited to be 721, for obvious reasons. The card Destiny board featured the letter D in its original printing, which would then spell death when played with the original version of the Spirit Message cards. To avoid spelling out this crude word, the D was removed in favor of an F, the E with an I, the A with an N, the T with an A, and the H with an L, spelling now the word final. Also, the Ouija board from the background of the 5 cards was removed because it is a reference to black magic. The end in Eradicating Aerosol had the word God tattooed, which was simply edited out for the TCG art. In Premature Burial, the red cross was replaced by the Dark Magician circle to avoid any Christian connotations. The monster card Sorcerer of the Doom had the red eyes removed, while the heads on its body had their blood tears edited out, maybe to make it appear less like a sacrifice ritual. The international artwork of Tremendous Fire gave some blue dresses to the creatures on it, but most importantly they edited the flames because they look like demonic wings. And finally, in the TCG release of Worm Prince, the monsters from Worm Apocalypses present in the background were removed completely so that the scene didn't resemble a cult ritual. There are many more cards that were censored for international Yu-Gi-Oh! Releases. In the next video, we'll take a look at cards that were altered because they featured some type of weapon. Be sure to subscribe and turn on notification to not miss it. Thank you so much for watching. On the screen, right now, you can click on some of my other videos. Have a nice day.